and cease any and all support. That's where we begin tonight. The Republican National Committee has voted to censure alleged GOP representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. This follows their blatant disregard for their voters after they joined the Democrats' political January 6th committee. Joining me now to weigh in on this is Montana Congressman Matt Rosendale. Sir, welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show. Glad to have you. If I thought for 1 second, sir, that Cheney and crying Kinzinger were interested in the facts, I would support their participation. But that's not what this committee is. Pelosi only allowed never-Trump Republicans to serve on the committee, and see as Trump, he is the target. Seeing as he's the target and truth is not the target, this committee, in my opinion, is illegitimate. Don't Cheney and Kinzinger deserve censure and even stronger measures for attempting to give this sham committee the imprimatur of legitimacy?
Chris, they have brought this entirely upon themselves. I'm sure folks will remember last January when I was one of the very first members of Congress to step forward and ask for the removal of Liz Cheney as the conference chair because she was undermining our work so dramatically just by not only voting for the impeachment, but to provide all of this information in a statement as the conference chair to the Democrats as they put on that show on the House floor. It wasn't a hearing. It wasn't a legitimate process. It was just an impeachment resolution that they brought forward and rammed and sent over to the Senate. At that time, we recognized that she could not be one of the top three leaders of the Republican Party. And it took a while, but the conference came around, and fortunately, we were able to get her removed from that position. All that did was continue to inflame this obsession that she has with President Trump. And then she found a partner in crime, Adam Kinzinger, to assist her in this process. And certainly, Speaker Pelosi decided that it was in her best interest to bring them aboard to then drive this wedge with the Republican Party and allow them to continue these attacks, again, because of this obsession that they have with President Trump and to try to silence anyone who may be supporting an America First agenda.
Well, Congressman, I think you had it right. Looking at Liz Cheney and crying Kinzinger, I just get this sense that they're not all mentally there. This obsession they have, they're like Captain Ahab. They are singularly focused, and President Donald Trump is their focus, and to the exclusion of anything that is everything else that's going on, all the abuses and all the damage being done by Democrats. It's sad in a way for these two to go down the road they're going. Speaking of a bad road, the Democrats have made it clear they have no intent on taking any actions of real substance against communist China, their human rights abuses, and their attacks on the United States and our interests. Speaker Nancy Pelosi is urging our U.S. Olympians to not make the Chinese government angry. Watch.
You're there to compete. Do not risk incurring the anger of the Chinese government because they are ruthless. I know there is a temptation on the part of some to speak out while they are there. I respect that, but I also worry about what the Chinese government might do.
Wow. In my opinion, the U.S. shouldn't be giving China any legitimacy in light of their role in the pandemic through the Olympics. But what do you make, Congressman, of Pelosi doing Xi Jinping's heavy lifting by prompting our Olympians who may value freedom to hold their tongues?
So, Chris, we have so many things that are involved in that one statement. On one hand, you have the Democrat Party, which just recently at the last Olympics was praising these Olympians that were willing to denounce the United States and burn a flag on the stage or podium if they had been fortunate enough to win a medal. And now she's telling the Olympians that they need to shut their mouth and not exercise their rights of free speech. And that is very difficult to understand. At the same week that the Democrats just tried to pass the Compete Act and put potentially billions of dollars into the treasury of the Chinese Communist Party by the different programs that they have contained within it, starting with the New Green Deal. and filtering money back into China. It's puzzling to me that on the one hand that they would try to say that China is such a notorious opposition to the United States, and on the other hand, use legislation to actually enrich them. The competitors should be there competing and be able to do their best and be able to speak freely about the America and our rights here. We want to share that liberty and those statements around the globe.
Congressman, last thing I have for you, I want to address something I was talking about in the preamble. CNN's scandals only continue to grow. Now it comes to light that they were the ones pushing, or one of the ones pushing, for Newsmax to be deplatformed. If carriers who may lean left want to cancel the fourth most watched network on cable so that left-wing channels like CNN don't have to compete in the arena of ideas, will you and the Republican Party act to preserve free speech and debate in the U.S.?
Oh, we are trying right now. It is unfortunate to look at how the House is functioning right now. We do not have regular order. The Democrats have silenced the opposition party. I mean, they really have. They have eliminated our ability to function on the floor and in committees. And until we can get the majority back and disperse this power amongst the members of Congress, instead of having it consolidated in the hands of a few who happen to have their hand on that gavel, we are going to have problems. I've been looking at this Section 230 for 6 months now, and I've been working with people within Congress and outside of Congress to try and develop the best way to modify and amend it so that we can continue to grant the immunities to the small startups that are trying to, but eliminate that immunity for the big organizations that are basically, as far as I can see, in antitrust violation anyway, and are choking out competition and basically choking out free speech as well.
Do you think the Republicans would sit still from CNN's efforts to basically make sure that they're the only ones disseminating decidedly left-wing news and trying to throw platforms or off platforms news operations like Newsmax? Would the Republican Party stand for that?
No, I think that the Republican Party is poised. When we take back the majority in November of this year, which will be sworn in, the new members will be sworn in January of 23, that we will absolutely hold large media accountable and take organizations like CNN and social media as well and hold them accountable for the censorship that they have been conducting under the guise of protections under Section 230.
Well, here's hoping. Thank you very much, Congressman. We appreciate that. Congressman Matt Rosendale, appreciate your time.